This is the Final Word T20 World Cup Daily, Day 2 with Jeff Lemon and Adam Collins. Today, Ireland played Zimbabwe and West Indies played Scotland, and we are in the lovely Victorian coastal town of Lorne.
What a joy to be here. One of my favourite places. I've stayed here many times over the years. It's right in the heart of the Great Ocean Road, which was built after World War I, wasn't it, with returned servicemen who came and were given a job building this magnificent road. You're within striking distance of Cape Otway, of the 12 Apostles, about an hour in either direction. This is a town of about 1,000 day to day, but during the peak seasons, during the summer here, it swells with lots of tourists. You came here into school, you didn't, back in the day?
I did, when I was 18. Had a very reputable time. Everything was completely above board. 151 miles, the Great Ocean Road. I should know what it is in kilometres because that is the unit of measurement that we use, but it is not the one that I know it in.
Yeah, I was going to say that's 150 mile an hour.
Yes.
That's the other way. If it were 150 kilometres, you instinctively know that's about 90 something.
Sure. Okay. So you're thinking like Jofra Archer peak speed at Lords, miles per hour.
I used to do it with petrol.
That was kilometres.
Well, I used to do it with petrol stations where you used to be able to go and see petrol was, there'd be leaded might be 145, sure. Unleaded 140, and you go, right, well that's Mark Wood, but now petrol is much more expensive.
Now you've got to do it in service speeds.
Yes,
that's
right.
a Pete Sampras first serve. We're in Lorne because we're working with Visit Melbourne, who are encouraging people to visit Melbourne. It says it in the name, and Melbourne is the gateway to this part of the world where you can come down and enjoy yourself on these beautiful, pristine beaches.
Plan your Melbourne visit, visitmelbourne.com. So all the restaurants and cafes out there as well. It's as I say, it's one of my favourite places in the whole state, in the whole country, full stop. But
there's a place called Captain Hook Fish and Chips across the road, and I'm going to demolish that place as soon as we finish filming. I'm in there like a shot. And
if you're listening on the podcast, if you watch on YouTube, you'll see behind us here as well. It's the perfect time to be filming around sunset. We're going to do the first game now, and then we'll take a beat and we'll do the second game later, Jeff.
West Indies, Scotland, in Hobart, where it was frosty and frigid this morning or this afternoon when they got going. Tell us all about it in 30 seconds or less, Adam.
Yes, Scotland was sent here, 9-degree day down at Bellerive. Rain affected first innings. They still had time to make it to 160 for 5. They got all the overs in. George Munsey unbeaten on 66 not out. Hit boundaries at the start, boundaries at the end, and between times he was the rock. He had support from McLeod and from Greaves, who made 20-odd apiece and also found the rope on a number of occasions. But when they went to work with the ball, the West Indies had no response. At one stage, losing 7 for 32, an epic collapse. They're all out for about 110. They lose by 42 runs. Least takes 2. Watt takes 3 for 12 from 4 overs or something like that. They caught everything. They were outstanding, the Scots.
Second big upset in 2 days. Oh, good that we have a separate qualifying tournament. You can't have teams like this in the main draw. Namibia knock off Sri Lanka yesterday in a clinical performance, and then Scotland much the same today. I mean, at one stage, the Windies are flying. They're 53 for 1 after about 5.5 overs. They've got 2 balls left in the power play, and that's when the second wicket falls. And from there, they lost 9 for about 60. And it was exactly like Namibia did yesterday. It was an organised, well-marshalled performance, discipline in the field, took all the catches, affected all the run-outs, and made the better team, the bigger team, the more marquee team panic under pressure.
Yeah, so 5 wickets to spin, which I've already touched on, but a word for the seamers, Josh Davey and Brad Wheel, who both play in the county championship. Like getting Kyle Mayers when he goes 6-4 out, good catch at mid-wicket, crucial, and then a couple of overs later, as you say, they take the second wicket when the score's on, 52 or 53. That's through Brad Wheel. And that just gives them a little opening. At that stage, you're thinking, well, with all the experience the West Indies have, all the depth they have with power hitters coming in as low as number 9, that all they really need to do is have 2 or 3 of them come off. But it was consistent wickets through the middle overs. They didn't give them a chance to breathe. Yep. And as I say, they caught absolutely everything. There were 3 fantastic catches at different points on the onside. There was a George Munsey catch early on. Then Michael Leask, when he wasn't bowling, he was taking catches and executing run-outs. And even the last one, Chris Greaves, the 10th wicket and final wicket of the innings when they were all out for 118. It was kind of a nice way to end it with a fine catch.
They're not as deep a batting team as they once were, West Indies. You think about them in T20 World Cups and you think Darren Sammy coming in at number 9, and hitting 24 off 8 balls. They're not that kind of team anymore. They've got Akil Hussain coming in, Alzari Joseph. They've got Jason Holder down there who's good at sort of keeping things together but isn't the super bludgeoner kind of player. they're a much weaker batting side than we've seen from West Indies teams in the past, but it was really instructive just how they lost their heads once the pressure was applied.
Yeah, second day in a row. Almost the replica of the way that Sri Lanka lost theirs at Geelong yesterday. And remember, the Windies have played loads of T20 international cricket between World Cups. Scotland have played twice. They played New Zealand in 2 games in the UK summer over in Edinburgh, I think it was. But they've not been playing this format of the game at all. And Barrington, the new captain, has been leading them since the last World Cup as well. I mean, I know they were there in Dubai last year, and I know they made it out of the group stage, so to speak, into the Super 12. But you know, they look even stronger now. And Mark Watt, who got good opportunities playing for Derbyshire this year, look, he didn't put a foot wrong. I love the way that he bowls from behind the stumps just to change his length and has that big, deep bag of tricks. And yeah, Leash did nothing wrong either with his off breaks down the other end. They hit the stumps a couple of times as well. I would say the Nicholas Pooran dismissal, the captain, was the most important of them all. That was Leask, and twice in 2 overs they were able to hit the stumps, the spinners, and that really sucked the oxygen out of anything they had in the power play. It was gone by about over 9.
And a lot of it, the ability to do it comes down to George Munsey, and it's much like what we saw with Namibia yesterday, that it's about somebody playing a sensible innings to get them a score. And if you get yourself 8 and over, then you might be in the game. And that's what happened. I like watching George Munsey. He's got this kind of hunched over vibe. It's like a bit 1950s, or even earlier, like Flat Jack Simmons might have looked like that when he was at the crease. And then he unleashes into these powerful shots. He's just got that bulkiness that makes him look powerful. I was watching the game with your dad this afternoon. Darryl came in and looked at him and said, "That bloke looks like he can hit it a long way." And he can, and he did.
We did. And I mean, I think that the tempo as well, wasn't it? He hit, I think, 6 boundaries across 2 overs inside the power play. Then the rain hit at 52 for none, I think it was, in the 6th over. They got a good start, right? But then they pretty much go to run a ball through the middle overs. They consolidate. Not that they needed to, but they, through Munsey, were able just to keep a lid on things. I mean, Barrington hit an enormous 6, probably the biggest 6 we've seen in the competition so far.
I think it was out of the stadium.
Yeah, at least onto the roof of the Ricky Ponting stand. But
I reckon it went just by the roof and kept going. I mean, it was
could have done so.
It was in those. It was in that sort of. Remember those ones that Clint Mackay getting whacked out of that ground? Maybe it was Ben McDermott putting him in the river. It was that kind of vibe.
Yeah, right. But they. So what Munsey provided them was the ability for, say, Cal McLeod to play quite aggressively, go at a strike rate of about 160.
Yep.
And even at the end, I know they're obviously going for it, but Grieve 16 not out off 11 balls. And it was that last over, wasn't it? The 20th over when where Munsey went 4-4 to get 15 from it and get them up above 160 in exactly the same way that Namibia did yesterday. Just psychologically, above 8 and over, I think it still is a barrier of sorts in T20 cricket.
So exciting times in the qualifying groups. Cat meet Pigeons.
Yeah.
And still 1 game to go. Let's go to Ireland and Zimbabwe.
And let's hopefully end up inside somewhere in the pub if all goes to plan.
All right, we've found a place to go inside and watch Zimbabwe play Ireland, which is just as well because it's fairly crisp out here. Adam, we're at the Lorne Hotel.
They've looked after us. We had somewhere indoors to watch the game, but it's not suitable for us to film in there now because they're shutting the pub, and here we are standing on the balcony again. It is freezing cold here. It looked horrible to be playing cricket.
In Hobart?
I can barely get a word out, and Hobart looked dire. Samuel Badgery was commentating from the dugout wearing a blanket at one stage, and all the cutaway shots to the crowd were anyone who had a scarf, a woolly hat and his gloves was wearing them. Dan Cherney, our colleague from News Corp, made the observation that it's hard to find out what a suitable total to chase in October is under lights in Hobart, because no one's been daft enough to schedule a game under lights in Hobart ever before until today.
Do you want me to tell you about the game in 30 seconds?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Basically, it boils down to this. Zimbabwe look like they might be the 3rd sort of senior team to fall over. They're 4 for 79 at the halfway mark, and then Sikandar Raza cuts sick. 82 from 48 balls, 5 sixes, gets out from the last ball of the innings, takes them up to 174. And Ireland fell over at the start and never recovered. Richard Ngarava and Blessing Muzarabani took 2 wickets apiece at the top, and that was all she wrote, just about, although there was a decent last wicket partnership that spared the blushes a little bit, got them up to 143 for 9.
Yeah, that brisk partnership that Raza was involved in, where I think he hit all of about 10 out of the 58 that they put on for the 5th wicket. As he comes in, it's a crucial juncture. And look, we had Sikandar Raza on the Final Word, our weekly edition of the show, about a month ago or so, and he's talked at length about the sort of cricketer he has become in recent times. I'm not surprised that he's been able to hit a 26-ball 50 at a World Cup. Remember that Zimbabwe weren't even eligible to qualify for this tournament when it was played in the UAE last year. They were
naughty corner.
They were in the middle of an ICC ban, so I mean, it didn't even get talked about. The Zimbabwe, it's just like they were forgotten about. They're not here. Why? Oh, it doesn't matter. They won the qualifier, and I know it's 50 over cricket, but they've been given a great deal more exposure through the World Cup Super League in the last 2 years, which has meant their 50 over cricket's improved. So yeah, it stands to reason that so is their 20 over cricket. It's just a crying shame that there will be no more World Cup Super League after the 50 over World Cup next year, and Zimbabwe won't get the fixtures they need to be on this upward curve for much longer. That's the reality of the situation.
Do you worry that that's the way it's going to go, that we'll see them dip off
again? The FTP makes it pretty clear that they're just not going to get the fixtures they've had the last 2 years because sides won't need to play Zimbabwe, so they probably won't. But some will, because I know that India have got a really good track record at touring Zimbabwe. And look, this isn't about the politics of Zimbabwe tonight, but just simply laying a marker that we shouldn't be surprised that a side that's been improving in the last 2 years has rocked up tonight, and through the leadership of Sikandar Raza, they've bossed this game, and they bowled super well as well.
Yeah, I think one of the most memorable parts of his career was just how devastated he was when they missed out on the 2019 World Cup qualification, and he played so well in that tournament. You know, that's when he really took hold of people's imagination. He's gone from there to just get better and better as a player. The way he took it on tonight was exciting. It was high octane cricket. It was mostly leg side. He was going back to the short balls and pumping them away on the pull shot. He was pulling the spinners. He was playing the little get inside the line, pick up flick shot over fine leg. It was targeted, like sensible aggression against Ireland's bowling, and I mean the Irish will be disappointed at the way they bowled after having them 4 down.
Yeah, they had opportunities, a wicket in the first over. I think 3 wickets in the power play, so they laid a bit of a foundation.
And fielded well.
That's right.
Relay catches on the boundary. They looked sharp at times.
I agree. Josh Little's a very, very good cricketer. I'm not surprised to see him taking advantage of the biggest stage that he's on for Ireland this week at the World Cup. But yeah, with the bat, they were in all sorts inside the power play. They lost two. Muzimbami, wasn't it? Took 2 wickets in the 4th over. They'd already lost 2. Paul Sterling was out in the first over of the chase, and they were no hope.
And that makes such
a
difference to them, like the way he charges things off top. But then there are these players who've come through in Harry Tector and Lorcan Tucker in the last couple of years they're the important wickets now as well. It used to basically be Sterling and Balbirnie, and now those 2 are up there in terms of significance, I think. Yeah,
that's right. The fact that Tector and Balbirnie, the captain, went in that same Blessing Muzimbami over, and both of them were regulation caught behind chances as well. It wasn't as though they were trying to hit out. They just got good deliveries on a
very
surface
tall fast bowler who was getting it to move.
Well, that's right, on a surface that seemed to work for them, and then it was the slower bowlers as well, including Sean Williams and Sikandar Raza himself, who were able to take a couple of further wickets, and it meant that Ireland actually played clever cricket in the last 5 overs. They were 9 down with 4 overs, 5 overs to go, and they batted it out to lose by 31 runs with Bazza McCarthy and I think it was Mark Adair. No, it wasn't. It was Josh Little.
It was Josh Little again.
Josh Little. But the point being is that had they been bowled out, they would have done a mischief to their net run rate. Now, I mean,
they played a few shots in the last couple of overs too. It wasn't just forward defensive. There was a big one that went into the stands and all the rest of it.
Yeah, it just means that I think after 2 nights of the tournament that teams are wise to the fact that you don't want to get bowled out when you're going to lose. You just want to remain 8 or 9 down so that it doesn't become like 2 losses in the space of 1.
Yeah, net run rate will be significant, as we've foreshadowed yesterday. I think it's time for the Hall of Fame. The Final Word Hall of Fame is where we look at the most final word moment of the day. Nominations, what have you got?
We are sport for choice today. There was more going on off the field than on it.
It was a rich day.
At the very start of it, Michael Jones, who was opening the batting for Scotland, everyone was taking the knee and he just didn't know what was going on. He was in his own world, and then he realised, and the TV camera was on him, and he just dropped to the turf. I quite like that. Oh fuck, what have I done? Michael, Fawad Ahmed's tweet, former Australian spinner, who said, I don't work for the ICC, I don't work for Cricket Australia, I can't get you a ticket to India, Pakistan, so stop harassing me. And furthermore, here's the weather forecast for Sunday. It's going to piss it down, so don't worry about going.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, that game does get off the ground, but I like that Fawad saw fit to lay a marker there. Stop hitting me up for tickets.
Well, I mean, but like people hit us up for tickets.
True, yeah.
We're lucky to get 1 pass to get into a game. It's not like they give us 10 spares. So I can't imagine how much worse it is being a former player from that part of the world. What else have we got? There was the kid on the TV
The kid that
coverage
fell over, yeah.
who fell off the fence. Now, I hope he's okay. But
We would
other
probably
peop-
know if he weren't okay.
Other people falling over is funny. We canvassed this last night. Bad things happening to other people, funny. Bad things happening to you, personally, not funny. And you're a person who has children, and I'm a person who definitely doesn't want to have children. And so I wonder who it's funnier for, because his dad comes belting down the hill to try to stop him falling off the fence and just misses out. Is that funnier for a parent who knows exactly what it feels like?
Yeah.
Or is it funnier for someone who never has to have that responsibility and doesn't have to have that fear of dropping a kid off the fence?
Well, normally when Winnie falls over, I'm okay with it because she's so close to the ground. As a starting point, I try to kind of keep it in perspective and make sure that she knows she'll fall over plenty through her life.
Yep.
This kid went all the way over the railing.
Top rail.
Off the top rope. Off the turnbuckle. No, he seemed to be gathering momentum as he ran down the hill and he got away from his dad. So I'm not sure if Mum was watching at home on the telly or something or saw the clip go viral. What has gone viral is Mark Watt, the Scotland spinner who we spoke about earlier, the notes he was taking.
Yep.
Which looked quite detailed.
Yep.
He jumped on Twitter after they won and he wrote a different note and popped it up and said this was it. Don't bowl slot. That was his one note to himself. And beneath it you saw Nat Parkinson from Lancashire in England and Roelof van der Merwe, who was playing yesterday for the Netherlands, both jumping in and giving their fellow spinner a pat on the bum. And I heard, I read rather the comments from who did Scotland put up after the win? They put up, now who was it? It was
Muncie, wasn't it?
It might have been Muncie. The point that was being made though is that, and very clearly from the Scotland camp, is that don't forget about us. As the cricket world,
forget about us.
As we increasingly worry about the way that the global game is moving, for good reason, don't forget about associate nations who are making great strides and who could conceivably and should become full members in the fullness of time as well. And Scotland and Namibia over the last couple of days have made a case for why they should have more investment, and as the point was made by the Scottish player, why the pie should be cut up more equitably than it is at the moment from the ICC.
Well, he's just very lucky that Andrew Redmayne, the Australian goalkeeper, didn't run out and steal his notes and throw them into the crowd, because that would have put a cat among the pigeons. My last nomination for the Hall of Fame is the fact that Mark Watt and Michael Leask look very similar, except one's got a beard. It's like Bad Cartman and Normal Cartman, who's also bad. Bad Cartman was Good Cartman, I think, the one with the beard. Alternate universe variations of each other. But one of them, super pumped every time he took a wicket, and the other one was like, chill out. Don't go over the top. We've still got a job to do. Take it easy. Fire and ice. The twin poles of the Scottish personality.
By the way, anti-Hall of Fame and Hall of Fame from the warm-up games at the Gabba today. Anti-Hall of Fame is that, according to reports, fans weren't allowed in. What doing? If it was on television and people are getting in the ground to sort of broadcast it, surely punters should be permitted to get in there. And the Hall of Fame component of that is that Liam Livingstone has hit a bomb which has gone out of the Gabba, over the top of the roof. I don't think I've seen that at the Gabba
That's a big
before.
place.
I think Chris Lynn did it once in a BBL game, come to think of it. But
could have.
It's a sign of what is to come, I'm sure, with Livingstone over the next couple of weeks.
Right, this has been the final word. T20 World Cup Daily, Day 2. We are here every day of the World Cup, and we're doing this with the help of Visit Melbourne. Don't forget to plan
your visit to Melbourne.
Yes.
Visit Melbourne.com.
Why
wouldn't you want to do that and be at Lorne where we've been today? We'll be back at Cardinia Park tomorrow. We're going on a road trip again when the teams play in Hobart, then back at Geelong, then back on the road again, and then we're going on a drive after the World Cup, all through regional Victoria. So this will be an ongoing part of our conversation on the pod.
You can go to the Lorne Hotel and you can say, in this very spot, on this very balcony, the Final Word recorded a podcast. If you're particularly enthusiastic. If you're really enthusiastic, patreon.com/thefinalword. I think that's enough for us.
Yeah, I think it is.
See you on
we
day
have
3.
a long drive ahead of us. Good night.